We have got a great show for you tonight, a jam-packed show. We've got UFL, we've got college, and we've got NFL. It's going to be a big night on the bottom line, Ed.
And can you believe it? Most podcasts aren't even having shows this week.
Huh.
But with things going on in the UFL, big rivalry weekend, big Thanksgiving NFL games, it's time to bottom line this, man. Let's go.
And that's the bottom line. You want a war? You're gonna get one.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you wanna get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
The Wednesday before Big Turkey Day. You would think everybody would be thinking about all of those things, but not here.
Families for tomorrow. Tonight is our football family.
That's right. It is football time. So let's bring the other guys on. Brett, what's up, bud?
Another day in paradise.
Right. We got some big UFL news that you three are going to be getting into in just a little bit. So let's bring KJ on, as KJ is the man when it comes to our UFL news and some of the different things that we have to offer for the UFL tonight. So because we have so much to cover tonight, so much going on, I'm going to get out of here. You guys take care of the UFL, and remember, let's not be running too far over. All right, Brett? Okay. All right, take it away.
So as we talked about last week, we had an opportunity to have KJ be in Houston for the UFL Player Showcase, and I'm going to turn it over to KJ because he was able to get some really good stuff.
Yeah, we had a really awesome opportunity. Thanks to Ed getting us our foot in the door, if you will, with the league contacts. I guess to kick it off, big thank you to Sarah Littlejohn, who is it? Amanda Garcia and Mike Wade for allowing us the opportunity to get out there, see the players, talk to some folks. I got a couple interviews with some players, which we'll share momentarily, as well as got to speak with Doug Whaley directly, which is really awesome. These are kind of just a spoon roll of picks that I took from the events of the day. They had a really great venue, in my opinion, in Houston Christian University. It's not a massive size stadium, obviously, because they're a Division I or FCS college. But for those who know the Houston area pretty well, know that they've got a good venue there, and it was just prime real estate, I'd say, for the events of the day. Props to all the coaches and officials that were there, or I guess staff that coordinated the drills and events, because they went off without a hitch. The picture that you just saw a second ago was of 3 gentlemen that I met when I was there. One was actually, I believe, a recruiter or head, talent acquisition guy for the Texans. Quincy Workman from the Texas Syndicate, which is one of the Continental Football League teams, was there, repping a few of his guys who were attending the showcase. And then also a father of a player that I got to interview there was also in place. I won't spoil that at this exact moment. But anyways, really awesome event. As I said, got to meet a lot of interesting folks there. I even saw towards the later end of the day, prior to my departure, some, I believe, probably NFL scouts or at least other league scouts that were there. I didn't recognize necessarily all their faces. But there's a photo you'll see kind of towards the end of this spool reel of pics. They're on the sidelines with their little folders and clipboards. You can clearly tell who the talent guys are when they're carrying their little notebooks around, basically. But they had a really cool drill set up to kick off the day after they got every player checked in. And then after they did this kind of team stretching exercise, they did a huddle up in the center of the field and broke out to their individual drills, if you will. They had the players basically broken down into their positional categories. So you had all the defensive linemen and edge rushers in one group. You had your linebackers in another, and then your extensive defensive secondary, safeties, cornerbacks in a separate packing group. So as you can see there on the one side of the end zone, they had, I think, 1 or 2 drills there, and then a couple others on the other end. And they basically, throughout that first half of the day, if you will, or first 2/3 of the day, shuffled the guys, each group, through each drill, basically, to get their reps in. So it's a really, really cool procedure, well structured and organized. I had a great time viewing it and got, as you can see, tons of pics, some videos out there too. Few folks that I didn't get the opportunity to interview, but I want to give their name shout outs just in case, from player to, from our podcast, each of the players. I've got plenty of content, whether it be photos or videos of some of these guys. And if you want a copy of it, you're welcome to reach out to Ed or myself directly to get those. Just a couple names to throw out. Some of them may pop up on the screen as I'm running through them. Xavier Lanier, defensive back from Tulsa. He was number 33 on the list. 35, Travis Martin, defensive back from Langston University. Ricky Pearson, number 42 from Northwood. Torrey Richardson was number 45 from Houston Blinn. I'm not going to butcher his name. Tiari Williams, 64. Stephen Adler, 65. Adam Davis, Jalen Jimerson, Nate Matlack, Kevin McMurdy. I apologize if I mispronounced that. D'Amico Rowland, Giovanni Sanez, and Charles Webb. And I captured a couple pics of one of my Houston fellow alums that was in the offensive group right before I had to depart for the second half of the day. That's the pic of the recruiters you see there that I noted. Was unfortunately not able to get as much content on the offensive groupings because they were the second half of the day, and I had to fly out that evening on Sunday. But still got a ton of, ripe pictures and video, obviously, from the defensive guys. So I had a lot of fun. I'll go ahead and share the interview I did with Doug Whaley first. I'm going to pop this one down. So I'll just roll through this one, and then we got a couple player showcases with interviews that I can share afterwards. AJ here with the bottom line. Got Doug Whaley. He's the Vice President of Player Personnel. Just want to introduce him and speak to him a little bit on how the showcase went today. Thank you for taking the time to interview with me. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having interest in the UFL.
How would you say today's event so far has gone? I know we're only halfway through the day with the defense guys done, but what's your thoughts so far and what you've seen?
Well, first of all, great weather. We're not out here sweating. I know it's Houston at this time of year, but first, we applaud all these guys because we are a league opportunity, and everybody's got a circumstance of why they're not in the league. But we say, bring those circumstances to us and let us weed through and hopefully give you a chance to springboard to that lifelong ambition of playing in the NFL.
For sure. What would you say is your, biggest strength or nugget of gold, if you will, that y'all find from the showcase that y'all done so far?
The biggest nugget of gold is how these guys have taken it upon themselves to go out and above and really bet on themselves to come to a showcase like this where there's nothing promised, lay everything they have out on the line, and be able to showcase their skills that can, like I said, get us interested, sign them a UFL contract, and then once they get on the field, and then they have a platform to show their skill set to 32 NFL teams for 10 games and possibly 12 games if you talk playoffs and championship.
Awesome. I know y'all are looking forward to the offensive guys making out here shortly. How many more showcases are left for the year? Do you know offhand?
We have this one, and then we have one on LA on December 7th. And then we have actually two. We have a specialist with John Carney on December 5th, right outside of San Diego, and then a positional one in LA on December 7th.
Awesome. Have you gotten an opportunity yet to meet? I'm sure you have. Mike Rapoli and the rest
Absolutely.
of the management team?
It's going to be it's one of those things where he's obviously a master marketer
For sure.
but he loves sports. I mean, he's obviously in the horse racing, but he's a guy that is all about helping people get to maximize their talents and get to where their ultimate goal is, and that's why one of the reasons he likes the UFL. It's a space that is unoccupied now in the football ecosystem, and he wants to go in there and show that a marketing guy can come in and make a league that's not only profitable but entertaining, but most importantly, a way to develop people.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, sir.
No doubt. Appreciate it.
So I think, based off of his interview, it went really well. I really appreciate Doug for allowing us to interview him and just, pick his brain for a little bit there in between the two groups, basically, for the showcase of the day. He was very hospitable, and they were really welcoming to me and the few other kind of recruiters, reps that had attended the event itself. I was surprised, honestly, by the weather. I think that's the biggest takeaway outside of seeing so many awesome, talented guys out there on the field. It was noticeably cooler for the day, wasn't hot, had good cloud cover, and there was a slight breeze the entire day. So, I mean, in terms of a showcase in the, what most people would consider the butthole of the Satan above in terms of Houston, it was pretty dang cool and excellent weather, all things considered, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed that attribute, and the good Lord above was blessing those guys with some awesome weather to do their drills. So.
And what really stuck out to me when you see all these guys at this showcase is that, before the UFL come along, a lot of these guys that, maybe were on the cusp or not quite good enough to make the NFL really didn't have a place to go besides, the CFL or maybe some smaller arena leagues or something like that. This really gives these guys that have that amazing football talent one last shot at just like they call it, the showcase their talent. And it's interesting to see every one of these guys has their story. And it's just very interesting to hear, what kind of a road or what kind of a route they've taken as football players and what's brought them to where they're at today. So, I mean, Brett, what do you think?
Man, this is why we like and love spring football so much. There's a lot of guys that you could go anywhere, hang out with, go have a beer, go have dinner, watch a game, just like us, and sit around and talk ball for hours. I've never, all the events I've been to, and and going to Canton and going here and going there and meeting all these different players, I've never had a bad experience with one player. I could sense, a couple of them might have been a little on the shy side, but no one has ever been, rude to me. You don't get that pretentious, I'm better than you type attitude. Typically, they're very, very thankful that we're interested in, that we try to promote them, and cover the league. I can't tell you, like with the UFL fans, Facebook group and my X page now, I get private messages all the time from guys that go to these showcases, thanking me. And that's really, I mean, dude, it's awesome. It's something that we wish we could still be doing at our age. And these guys are still fighting it. And you see some of them that, like the Minnesota Vikings defensive lineman, the old Birmingham Stallions guy that's done got, 2 picks for the Broncos, then all the kickers, and you see some of these other guys signing, and just think, everybody, I'm like, well, you didn't make but $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, that year to try to get back in the league. And then you pull up their numbers now, you're like, you know what? It was worth it for those guys. You know, and it's a neat deal, man. It's just like I said, if you've never been to a spring football game, it's a lot more friendlier than a college game or an NFL game. Yeah, heck, KJ, you know, you go around everywhere and meet all the different opposing fans. I seriously doubt you've really had a bad experience anywhere.
No, it's definitely, to your point, you can have some hostile fan bases. We won't get into specifics with NFL and that sort of thing. It's
Right.
not existent in the UFL. Every community is welcoming. There's a real good hospitable feel. And you've already touched on this, Brett, countless times, as many other of us have. The overall value proposition you get as a fan with the UFL in terms of your investment cost for, a season ticket package, what have you, and the amount of week to week through the regular season and even out of season, potentially now with Rapoli at the helm, player engagement you get on a grassroots level is literally paramount, and there's no comparison. NFL is its own, stratosphere of that, and you can dream and hope you might meet one player who's willing to give you the time of day to even shake your hand or give you a high five. Whereas in the UFL, you could possibly be sitting down in the same restaurant for an hour period with multiple players from the team. That's the level of engagement you're getting. And with, like I said, the dollar proposition component, there's really no comparison and no reason not to give it a shot for those prospective fans out there who maybe haven't invested in past seasons. I implore you to give it a year, give it a chance, because you will be remiss and not be disappointed. That much I can guarantee.
Okay, Jay, let's get back to I see you got some player interviews too. So
yeah, I'm gonna throw up these player showcase. So Cam is the player whose father was present at the showcase, just as an FYI. He helped me get an interview with him, and Quincy got me the interviews with the following two players that I'll share momentarily once they come. These were cool double-up passing drills they did midway through the day with the defensive backs.
Hey guys, KJ here. I want to introduce our first interview of the day.
Yeah, Cam Pettisclo, Tulane University, safety.
Good to meet you, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for taking the time. So is this your first tryout you've done post-graduation?
Yeah, so this is my first tryout coming from out of college. I was 2023, so my first UFL tryout today.
Awesome. What have you enjoyed so far about the experience today?
Just a chance to showcase your talent. A lot of guys get overlooked for whatever the circumstance may be, but just an opportunity to showcase your talent and everything that you bring to the table. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any other pans out on the horizon in terms of interest for tryouts otherwise or other leagues or anything?
Yeah, so I'm open to anything. CFL, UFL, NFL. I had a stint with Giants, so I'm looking to get back into the swing of things.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Nice meeting you.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Here's our next one. Got from Braden Utley from Baylor. He's pretty fast on the cone drill, in my opinion.
yeah. You think, Brett, could you keep up with him?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, I was fixing to blurt out and say, we need him in Birmingham because we keep losing our edge rushers to the NFL.
My name's Braden Utley. It's Baylor University. The draft class of 2023. Played D tackle there, but edge defender now. Just looking for the next opportunity.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Is this your first tryout of the year, so to speak?
For the year, yes, sir. I've done these the last couple of years.
Awesome.
Was a chance to go to the XFL Combine in 2023, and then did one last year, and then this is my run for the year.
Very cool. What have you enjoyed today most about the experience?
I just think it was a great spot. I mean, HCU or used to be HBU. Great field. I mean, the ANC staff did a really good job putting things together, making things run smooth. I just think it performed well. And so I'm pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Have you seen any familiar faces out here today, other guys you know, either in the team or outside of that?
A couple guys that came in with my boys from Tucson, where I played there a couple years ago. A couple guys I had seen in other showcases, like CFL and UFL. And so good to see some faces and everyone's performing trying to get to the next level.
Very cool, very cool. Do you have any other tryouts on the horizon or upcoming events this
None at the moment. Just looking for a next opportunity. Want to be able to, I know I have the ability to make it in the UFL. Be able to play on the edge. I can also long snap, linebacker, fullback. I can do everything. And so I know I just need the opportunity to get there at camp and really work out for myself.
I appreciate you taking the time.
Did you see the size of his hands?
Big boy.
I'm sitting here like, he looked like one of them little special characters, you know?
Chris Mills was our last man up from the
we on the mission, yeah, we on the mission. You all know the mission, that's destroy opposition. We on the mission, yeah, we on the mission. The mission is to win and destroying competition. We on the mission, yeah, we on the mission. You all know the mission, that's destroy opposition.
Hey guys, KJ here. This is interview number 3. I'm with Chris. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Chris Mills, Texas State, class of 2024, and play cornerback.
Awesome. Is this your first trial of the year?
Yeah, first UFL trial.
Okay. How did the experience go for you?
That was good.
Good?
Yeah.
Anything in particular you liked about the day?
They went pretty smooth. I mean, thought it was going to start a little earlier.
Sure.
But it was all good. Everything flowed well.
I think they'd be good.
Yeah, coaches communicated what they wanted to see, so it was all good.
Awesome. Do you have any other opportunities on the horizon in terms of future trials for other leagues or anything of that nature?
I've had a few people hit me up. Some CFL opportunities as well as some indoor opportunities. So after this, I guess I'll explore which avenues next. Even thinking about going to the next UFL showcase.
There you go.
So,
do you have any other, fellow alumni or players from collegiate ball that you know that are already in the league or maybe we're at the trial today?
Oh yeah, bunch in the league. Okay. Yeah, it was a couple out here.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate your time, man.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Hey.
That wraps it up, man. I apologize in advance to everybody who viewed it. If the audio quality was a little suspect, I had purchased some wireless mics to actually give to the players and use myself to kind of cut out on the wind noise. But I had severe technical difficulties that morning. I could not get the dang things to connect to my phone or my camera. So I just had to wing it with the phone recording, and sometimes you just get some wind audio in there. So I promise next time will be a little better for the viewers, but that's what we got. So.
Yeah, that was, I always wondered, I've never had the pleasure of going to one of those showcases. I always wondered how those went, and looked like they keep these guys moving, and there's definitely details that they're looking for on these players. And I mean, when you think, what's the big deal about jumping? But I mean, they're measuring everything to the inch, man. So I mean, it looked like any one of those 3 got a shot. I wonder I would be curious what the process is as far as when these players, or what's the process of getting contacted if there's any interest there. So we might have to reach out to the UFL and find out what the process is after these showcases.
One cool thing I wanted to share real fast, since I didn't get video clips of these guys, and these are just posts that were shared by the UFL on the X page. And I'll just do it as full screen as I can. So these were the top performers for their 40-yard dash. That was one of the drills they ran. Got Russell Dandy, Dre Hall, and Stephen Adair, for any of those that names may recognize from folks who come from their corresponding schools. And then you had 2 other ones, the 3-cone drill, which is one we had a couple video highlights of. Russell Dandy, Brandon Ross, and Alex Howard were the leaders there for timing. These obviously just stopwatch times they did with the drill leaders commencing each drill. And then the last one, I think, was that they shared was the broad jump, which was Russell Dandy, Fred Stokes, and Stephen Adair being the top 3 guys on that.
Looks like Russell Dandy has
him and Steven both seem to have, I think, more
options.
than one stat leader. So yeah, there were a couple of big boys out there making their presence known, if you will. So I think that's pretty cool thing to see.
Well, hopefully they'll get a call. I think it's January when they get the first preliminary notification. that you've been invited to camp. Then you have to fill everything out, sign it, send it back to them. If I recall the procedures the last few years, and of course camp would start February, and then they'd start unfortunately having cut downs. Don't know what the roster sizes or the camp sizes are going to be. I don't know with Rapoli involved now. I don't imagine that would vary a whole lot from what we've seen in previous seasons, but I mean, December is a week away, so we're not far away, guys. We're almost there.
That's for sure.
Well, I want to thank the UFL and for giving KJ access, and it was an awesome event. It was very interesting to hear from not only the players but from the league. So,
for sure.
With that said, thanks again, KJ. Eric, let's bring you back in and let's move into the college.
Oh, hi guys.
Welcome back, buddy.
I was taking a break. All right. Let's get right into the college. Let's do this as quickly as we possibly can. Now, the colleges, we're going to be faces blocked here. Sorry, boys. So I'm just going to put them up. But Brett, let's start with you with the SEC for Week 14. Give us a quick rundown of where you got people, and not that anything is going to change because I think you guys played a couple high schools and a couple dentistry and stuff. So I doubt very seriously your order changed from last week. But let's just maybe you can give us a sneak peek of rivalry week if that's the case. So here you go.
Yeah, last week was, as we like to call it now, everyone else knows, we call it Cupcake Week. It's the week before rivalry week. So we start playing a schedule similar to what everybody else plays throughout the season.
Oh,
kind of like Ohio State. But this week, oh my goodness, you've got some just real good old-fashioned hate going on the field this week, starting Thanksgiving, and then you got quite a few tilts on Black Friday. You've got the Egg Bowl with Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Then that following Saturday, where's Lane going to end up? Vanderbilt and Tennessee, Alabama and Auburn, Georgia Tech. Goodness, the list goes on and on and on. South Carolina, Clemson, Florida State. I mean, did I mention Texas A&M? I mean, you could go. This week is just, it goes too fast. I mean, between eating the turkey and taking naps every half an hour, being comatose from everything that you've ate. And the weather's starting to change. And before you know it, rivalry week's over with. Just snap of a finger. But in all seriousness, nothing changed on my power rankings from the previous week. There was nothing on the field to justify really any movement whatsoever. But there could be quite a bit of movement after this week.
So Brett, so having said that, Brett, and you know the matchups in the SEC for this big rivalry weekend, which teams do you see that are kind of on the cusp or on the edge in the catbird seat of the college football playoffs that you see as the ones that maybe are the biggest risk to lose everything this weekend?
Well, of course, everyone knows I'm an Alabama fan, but it goes without saying it's Alabama because it's the board's second season. They didn't make it to the playoffs last year. They lose to Auburn Saturday. They won't make it to the playoffs again. Things will get heated here in Tuscaloosa. There's already rumors flying that DeBoer's family might not be exactly thrilled about being around Tuscaloosa after they lose the game. Well, here's your sign. At what point did you think it was, rainbows and butterflies and white picket fences in Tuscaloosa on Sunday mornings after losing the game you're supposed to win? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the West Coast mentality. Well, here's your sign. Alabama, absolutely. Because once again, Alabama goes down to the Plains at Jordan Hare, and faces little brother, and little brother's literally trying to ruin Alabama's season once again. I mean, if Auburn wins, they go to the Birmingham Bowl. Alabama wins, they go to the SEC championship game and take on the Aggies or the Bulldogs. Georgia could definitely have a look. They probably could have and should have lost in Athens last year to Georgia Tech. You can kind of argue this year that Georgia Tech's a little better than what they were last season. That game's in Atlanta. There's no telling what could happen there. You've got Louisville from the ACC taking on Kentucky. You know, that's a must-win for Louisville. I mean, Kentucky's trying to ruin their season. I mean, you can go on and on and on, but hey, Texas A&M and Texas. If Texas beats Texas A&M and Georgia wins, Georgia goes to the SEC championship game. And if Alabama wins, it would be Georgia against Alabama. And how far would Texas A&M drop if Texas did beat them? But it's all or nothing in Auburn Saturday night at 6:30 with that game. And some real wild, crazy stuff goes on down there. I call it a jungle. Other Alabama fans call it other things I can't repeat if we want to continue to try to gain sponsorships.
So let me ask you this. You know, I've always been, I keep bringing it up all the time about that dreaded third loss. You know, let's say Georgia, Alabama both make the, SEC championship and you know, so you would think Alabama would be in a catbird seat to make the college football playoffs. But like they say, you get into conference championship games and you lose. Does that loss hurt you? I mean, if Alabama makes the conference championship game and loses, does that third loss, even though they were in the championship, cost them a spot in the playoffs?
I think it definitely can this year because of our performance in Tallahassee at Florida State. Although it was the first game of the year, that's just a real glaring red flag to me. And if Alabama does skate past Auburn and loses the SEC championship game to either Texas A&M and Georgia, unless there's two or three teams ahead of Alabama that loses, I think Alabama will be eliminated.
Well, Texas A&M probably has the most to lose. I mean, I think they're probably in the playoffs, sure enough, but they hold 0 tiebreakers. And I think when you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, but do they have anybody on their schedule below number 8 or above number 8 in your power rankings?
I know.
They've
been blessed with if you can be blessed with a favorable schedule in the SEC, they have been blessed. I'm not knocking them. You know, it's just random.
Right, it's random, but I mean, it's just how it worked out this year is just craziness.
I'll say Iowa could only be that lucky in the Big Ten to have a schedule like that.
Oh my God. How do you even keep a straight face saying that? Like,
I don't think you did.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, Ed, you take care of this. You take care of this Big Ten for Chad because he's got family.
Well, I had to take this for Chad. Now, you know, if you was to ask Chad and Chad would come on right now, he would say, I'm taking the night off because I got family coming to town and I got my first grandkid, you know, that's going to be there. I want to give undivided attention, all that stuff. Well, it all sounds good, but the real reason he didn't want to come on tonight, Iowa and Nebraska play. And he knows if you talk about common opponents, oh my God, Iowa took Minnesota to the woodshed. Minnesota turns around, takes Nebraska to the woodshed. I mean, none of this is adding up for Nebraska. And early money's on Iowa. I was 6.5-point favorites, went down to 5.5 now. So Chad must have got his billfold out and put in a bet to get the line to drop like that. But no, I agree with the changes he made in the Big Ten rankings. He flipped Michigan and USC around, which I agree with. I probably would have dropped Nebraska a little bit, but it's all right where he's got them. You know, the big glaring matchup that everybody wants to see is coming up between Michigan and Ohio State. And, you know, Ohio State, if you want to talk about a cupcake schedule, you know, they've pretty much been ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on what poll you look at for the whole year. But,
Right.
you know, other than Texas, who was very raw and didn't really, you know, was still feeling their way the first game of the season, they really went unchallenged the whole year. So, you know, to once again play Michigan, who Michigan's won the last 4 meetings between them, it's really interesting. I mean, I've went back and forth on this game coming up, taking Michigan, then Ohio State. I mean, going back and forth, back and forth.
You're not taking Michigan.
I don't know.
You're not.
You know, because I'm still a firm believer in the fact that, you know, Oregon, you know, got a win over USC this last week. They called it a signature win for Oregon. I don't know if I would go as far as to call it a signature win that would cause them to actually go up in the college football player rankings. But I'm still holding out hope that Michigan can pull off the upset, because I truly believe the Big Ten deserves 4 teams in the playoffs. And I think Michigan is the last Mohican that has that opportunity to add that 4th team. So if Ohio State takes down Michigan, you know, there's only going to be 3 teams out of the Big Ten. So for that standpoint, I'm rooting for Michigan to pull the upset. But
why is it important? Why is it important to you that the Big Ten get 4 teams, Ed?
Because I believe that Big Ten and the SEC are the 2 major conferences that have the most quality teams from top to bottom. And I think that you take 8 teams out of those 2 conferences, add 4 from whatever else you want to add. I mean, the Big 12 has done okay this year, so they've got a couple teams. But even the second team in the Big 12 that supposedly has a chance to win the Big 12 might not even get into the college football playoffs. So
yeah,
there, it tells you that the committee doesn't have the respect for the Big 12 that they do.
But you know why, though, right? You know why?
I'm sure you're going to enlighten me, being a Big 12 homer.
Well, no, it's not. It's got nothing to do with being a Big 12 homer. It's got everything to do with the bias. I can't wait. I can't wait for the day when Kansas's money really kicks in. Maybe Houston money starts kicking in, or some of that other money starts kicking in. What college football is going to do when there's 3 or 4 teams in the Big 12 that are really good because of the money? I mean, we've all said that. It's going to happen.
So what are they going to do? Well, and what else are they going to do? Because next year, what conference gets formed back again? The Pac-12. Okay, you got the Pac-12 that's going to be a bunch of snoozers going into the conference. Are they going to give them a spot in the playoffs? Is all of a sudden the Pac-12 going to get that magic one? I mean, if you want to keep the college football playoffs legit, get rid of all this automatic bids from conferences, go with the committee's top 12 and be done with it. I've said it enough. I won't say it anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because there are going to be some years where, you know, ACC is going to be deserving of 2-3 teams. And there's going to be some years they're not deserving of any.
I was talking to Brett about this earlier today, and we talked about Tulane holding on to the number 12 seed of the college football playoffs. And Brett says, can you only imagine if the likes of Georgia or Alabama or somebody like that gets their hands on Tulane in the first round? Do you actually, you know, I understand the Rudy mentality in football where everybody wants to see the small guy take down the big guy. But if it's me, I want to see good matchups where for the next 3 hours, I'm going to see a good football game rather than seeing a snoozer that turns into a 3 or 4 game, score game by halftime, and I got to go out and mow the lawn in the second half.
But remember,
worth watching.
Last year in the college football playoff, what was the only game that really wasn't a snoozer?
Arizona State and Texas. Yeah, but
I'll say this. I think
scatterboo, and more scatterboo.
Right.
Well, but I'm just saying. It's the only game that really wasn't a snoozer.
Being another Big 12 homer, I'll own the bias, but I'll also be argumentative to say, Ed, to your point, if you want better parity when those periodic matchups do take place, obviously most of the time occurring in the CFP, get rid of your stupid cupcake games. This is more to Brett, I guess, than you, Ed, and schedule a Big 12 opponent. There's plenty of other Power 4 conference teams, both in the Big 10 and periodically in the SEC, but less so, that will schedule an out-of-conference game against a respectable opponent, not a cupcake. You do more of that, you automatically, therefore, increase the likelihood of greater parity when you get to the CFP point because these teams won't be completely foreign to each other in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. And I would agree with Eric, at least in the long run, when we look at how things are trending and, the rumor mill, I think, in the general landscape is that over the long haul, unless NIL really doesn't get ever restricted or regulated, is that the Big Ten, the SEC will eventually create their own super PAC, completely break away from the NCAA. And I'm okay with that as long as good old Big 12 maintains to be number 3 in the holistic landscape for the formidable future so that when they start poaching teams to add to their little pool, we're the first ones that get called. That's
but when you talk about media bias for conferences, there's also player bias. Because if you're big players and you want to make the NFL and you want to be that first-round draft pick, what conference are you going to? Now, with the NIL and all the money that's involved now, some of these teams that are in the Big 12, like you guys like to talk about the big Texas schools, they got the money to back them. Maybe they can turn that trend and get some of these players to start going out of the SEC and the Big 10.
And they have.
But when you look at the draft and you look at the first round, I'd venture to say between the Big 10 and the SEC, it's pretty much a wrap. So, I mean,
if I were to say to you, and I got to look it up here quick, but if I were to say to you, and I get the Ohio States, Ohio State's always been there. How many draft picks do some of the other teams in the Big 10, for example, send to the NFL?
Well, you have to look at some of the teams in the Big 10 that are trending up big time. Like I'm sure when you look at Indiana a few years ago, they probably didn't have many making it to the NFL. But now you got a potential Heisman Trophy winner at Indiana this year. So, I mean, it varies from year to year. I mean, you can cherry pick a year, Eric, and I'm sure you're going to find.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I understand that that may have been the case for a long time, just like Brett would say. For a long time, where did the majority of your top draft picks come from, Brett? I mean, yeah, one might have come from Ohio State, one might have come from, whatever, but the majority of them came from where?
Well, I want to say the last 12, 13 years, the SEC has sent more to the NFL than any other conference. It's really not been close. But, back when we were real young, or before we were around, most of us, the Southwestern Conference was the big boy conference, wasn't it? With Oklahoma and Nebraska and Texas and all those teams. that was 60s and 70s.
Right.
But now recently, you know, it is what it is. Talent-wise, it's the SEC, and then it's everybody else.
Yep.
You know, when it comes to draft picks.
Right. But that is with the injection of money into college football like it has. I mean, that may not change, but the gap is going to substantially close.
Oh, yeah. I mean, before long, you're going – I'd say in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 Texas teams in the top 10 every year.
Right.
And it's money. It's going to be Texas and Texas A&M and Texas Tech and SMU,
Baylor,
and Baylor, maybe Houston. And that's probably, unless they can't get some guardrails on this NIL, eventually that's going to be what happens because, yeah, a super donor is only going to donate so much. What happens if they pass away? The kids are going to look at Fred Smith with FedEx, you know, in the UFL. You need more than a super donor. You need, and in Texas, the Texas schools have got them.
Right.
Unlimited oil money, you know.
Yeah. That changes. That's going to change the landscape. Like I said, I called Texas Tech and I'm calling Kansas. In 2 years, I think Kansas is going to be a real problem with the amount of money because Leipold's a good coach. You get the players there, and he's going to coach them. No question in my mind.
Just like the Nike guy for Oregon. I mean, he's literally said he's willing to pony up any kind of money he can because he knows he's getting older and he wants to see a national championship. Yeah. I mean, Oregon's already been to, 2 national championships. So I still feel like they're missing the boat when it comes to both lines of scrimmage, and that's why they struggle once they get deeper in the playoffs. But
here's go ahead.
They always talk about the Oregon head coach going to greener pastures, and he says it doesn't get any greener than right here in Oregon. And
he meant greener by this.
Yeah. He has a play on words, but he says
really applicable.
No. He goes, no, I will be at Oregon for life. He says it's not greener on the other side of the fence. So
and I hear all the national talk shows and things say stuff like, the NCAA is adopting more of an NFL model. Dude, they have kicked the door down of the NFL model, and they are way past it because the NFL has a salary cap that teams must follow. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean they have to spend to the salary cap, as some teams don't. And if they go over, they've got to dump salary.
And the players are held accountable on their signatures on those contracts. It seems to me, from what we hear from everyone, as of right now, these players can still do whatever the hell they want to do. Yep. I'm assuming they get their money up front, and it's just a total shit show. We've seen that.
Mark my words. You're going to see multi-year contracts coming to college football.
The
only way these head coaches are going to get any kind of stability in their programs from year to year. But the only thing scary about that, can you imagine a major college going to a 17-year-old and offering them a 3 or 4 year contract for so many million a year? And you don't even know if this player has the right head on his shoulders. I mean, but still, if a program wants to have stability, damn well they're going to bring out multiple year contracts.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they got to try to, and it might be, you might see one of the things like, just an example, you get one of these freshmen that turn out, that freshman year, they're just like, holy cow, this guy is the next coming of whatever. That it might be a 1 year deal, and then they say, okay, then we're deciding, hey, we want to lock you into at least a 2 year contract through your junior year.
Right.
I don't know if they do that with an 18-year-old coming out of high school. Somebody will, but I'm saying on the overall, I think it's more of a, based on your performance this year, based on what we saw in practice, or, maybe the couple games you did get in, now we feel like we can offer you a 2 year contract.
Well, but the crazy thing about it, though, is Drinkowitz with Missouri. my son's a police officer for Eureka High School. They had a freshman left tackle that's like 6'4". He weighs I think he's 260 or 265 as a freshman. He already had a meeting with the head coach of Missouri as a freshman in high school, talking about commitment to Missouri already as a freshman.
Yep. Eye test, man.
And I said to Derek, I said, so this freshman, tell me, is his frame a muscular build or is it still baby fat? And Derek goes, oh, well, most of it yet is baby fat, but they just know with a frame like that and his interest in football and the kind of weight program that Eureka High School has, that by the time this guy gets to be a senior, he's going to be a force. And schools are looking for left tackles. And that just goes to show you, if they're looking at players as freshmen in high school for positions like left tackle, it's going on everywhere.
Well, the thing about it is now, though, and Brett, you can attest to this too, is, these coaches are trying to get them early. They're trying to put all this stuff in their heads early, like come to Alabama, come to Missouri, whatever the case may be, to try to get them to sell the commitment to them early, because they know if they miss the boat and a guy comes in late, and it still may happen. You're seeing commitments flip all the time.
Yep.
But they're doing their best to try to get in their heads early. So throughout high school, nope, I'm a Missouri Tiger, and that's how he stays. But somebody comes in with a bag full of cha-ching, and guess what? Because here's the deal. There's college kids now. We saw it on KJ's UFL deal. None of those guys are in the NFL right now, right? None of those guys got NFL contracts. None of those guys got rookie deals. None of that going for them. And I'm assuming, maybe some of those guys got some money or whatever. But what if, you can make $10, $12 million in college? You don't know if you're going to be an NFL player or not.
Yeah.
But if a college coach were to come to me as a senior in high school and say, listen, what offers do you have? I got offers from here. What are they paying you? We want to give you $2 million.
Well, I heard this last week. That the going rate in college football right now for a tight end, if you want a top tier tight end in the college football, the going price right now is $2.5 million.
Not surprising. Not surprising.
And that's for a tight end. Do you think quarterback like
I'll have to look and see how much
Rocco and Iowa State was making that?
No.
Yeah. I'll have to look and see how much Tanner Koziel is getting paid, because he's every time they highlight him in a Cougs game, they're always stouting him as being an NFL draft prospect, and he's played well all season. But I don't know how much, if any, UH offered him to come to our school. So
right. Well,
I wonder if that was part of his NIL deal, is that he would continue getting paid X amount of dollars, and they would continue to pump his ass up,
Well, I was going to say to that exact point, Brett, like whether it comes through NIL regulation or NCAA whatever, or it's just coaches playing the long game and playing it like a chess game, being more strategic. There is going to have to be a balance factor, whether it's influenced externally or comes from within the teams and each conference. Is that some of these coaches who don't want just the flash in the pan and to fizzle out into irrelevance or a loss streak are going to have to say, okay, I want to score this kid and pay him enough to get him to come, like Eric's talking about, but also stagger his contract in a way that he gets more game by game and a huge big pay bump if he stays year 2 kind of thing, because then that at least gives you more longevity and continuity from year to year that you may not get with all this NIL stability.
Right. But the point about that all is if $2.5 million for a top tier tight end is the going rate, how many colleges have just been eliminated because of
that? I don't disagree at all. I 100% get it for sure.
Now, guess what? You're looking at the Oregons, the Texas Techs, The guys that got
State.
It must still be Iowa because Iowa turns out tight ends in the NFL like. I won't even take time to name them all.
We know
where the tight end factory lies.
When's the last tight end that they sent to the NFL, Ed?
Laporta.
Okay. And before
That's
Laporta?
only what? It said 2 years ago?
But look at their tight ends now. Do you see a Laporta or a Kittle?
Well, they don't have a
Hockenson?
quarterback that can throw them the ball.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like tight end you might be gone.
All they do is block right now in Iowa City.
Hey, all right, we got to
mandate financial literacy classes in these colleges because these poor kids are going to go broke faster than they can save.
Oh man,
it's ridiculous.
All right, KJ, take the ACC real quick. You got some flipping going on there.
We do have some movement up at the top. Pitt was able to pull off the upset against Georgia Tech this past weekend, so I felt worthwhile to reward them for that. Kind of reviewing each team's holistic schedule and our top 4 or 5 teams. I couldn't really, not reward Virginia, and since they were already at number 2, it just seemed like the logical play. These may move back and flip-flop, to your point once again, Eric, when we get through rivalry week this weekend. If Georgia Tech pulls off the impossible against, Georgia, for instance, I could definitely see propping them back up. But that's just kind of how things fall now. It is alarming, I think, with this, and most of mine, are based on how they've done it through the year. So it is a win-loss thing to the majority of the factor. That the fact that Miami is still ranked as high as they are is quite crazy. But
Miami is ranked higher than 4 of the teams you have above them.
I was going to say Miami is number 13 in the college football playoff rankings, and you have them as the 5th best ACC team.
And for those who don't follow the ACC, I was literally in Miami when they played Syracuse. There was not a point scored in the game for the first, I think, half, if not at least the first quarter. It was insane that Syracuse was put in on that much on them, and they're considered a top 15 team. To me, is laughable. But anyways, get off that soapbox. I still will attest to what I stated last week. I think Wake Forest has had a hell of a season, even if they don't, have a championship bout or a chance. Deacons have done really well. As much as Clemson has tried to rally this second half of the year, I still am. I mean, you can't do anything but label them and Florida State's season as a major disappointment. And that kind of just goes without saying. So we'll see. I think the way things sit now, really, I mean, there's very similar to the Big 12 and the fact you've got multiple teams that could potentially get into the championship if certain losses and wins occur in the right, coordination to facilitate it. So basically,
Pitt, I don't see the ACC getting any more than one team.
No,
because they have to.
From a PFP perspective, it just won't happen.
Then we have another opening.
You can thank North Carolina State for that because the Wolves have screwed up everybody's year within their conference, even for being as bad as they are.
Then we have one more coaching opening with Cal firing their head coach this week.
That's true.
That not being quite as high a tier as maybe the other ones that we've seen, but
it's gonna be interesting to see with all these vacancies where these coaches are going to come from, because with the NIL requirements and all that, they're in a very tight window to be able to switch schools for head coaches and stuff. That it's going to be very interesting to see where all these coaches come from.
Yeah, depending on the level of the school, it's going to be interesting. All right, KJ.
Hold on 1 second. I had a quick comment for KJ on his ACC power ranking.
I'll go back.
All I got to say, KJ, is all this traveling you be doing all over here and there and everywhere. You don't want to see Michael Nose Candy Irvin in person and him find out that you've got Miami number 5 in the power ranking. That would not be good.
Something tells me KJ would not have a seat with the playoff committee with his ACC rankings as any kind of resume.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I don't. To me, we talk about and I agree with you, Ed. You take the top 12, and that's just how it is. If there's 3 ACC teams, 2 Big Ten teams, 6 SEC teams, and 1 Big 12 team, whatever, like that's just what you take. The problem is, when you look at the biases that they have, they got Miami at 13, and I just don't think Miami is the 13th best team in the nation.
Right.
I think
it's all played out, Eric, to your point. It plays into a factor of how they got started ranked at the beginning of the season, and the fact that when you look at the rest of their conference, they've had a noticeably easy schedule, even within their own interconference play. Put Notre Dame and the other teams aside for a moment. There's not a lot there, but because they started so high and they didn't lose a ton, they're getting the benefit of the doubt, I guess, or whatever, from a brand bias perspective.
You got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 losses everywhere in this conference. Everywhere.
That conference it's really a dumpster fire.
That's a good argument to Ed's. Hey, take 12 teams. Whoever's in, it's in, and whoever's out's out. If you can eliminate the biases of, but we really want to see the U in the playoffs. If you can eliminate those, and then the 12 teams are the 12 teams, not a problem. But we've talked about the biases, and that's where I think it makes that a problem. All right, Big 12.
Big 12, you got a little bit of movement at the top, obviously, with Cougs losing to TCU. While I didn't move them down, I did make an effort to move Arizona State up, and I did move TCU dropped only because when I compared them side by side with Iowa State and Kansas State, who both got wins, I believe, that's kind of just how it fell in the head-to-head sequencing. They're the one team that kind of got the short end of the stick with my power rankings. I think that loss on us this past weekend was more on U of H than it was on TCU. Not to say they didn't play well, because they did. But we definitely didn't play to our full potential. Arizona's moving up. They're probably I'd say, of our rivalry games we're about to go through, they're one of the ones I could see them possibly pulling up the upset against the Sun Devils, especially with them not having their starting QB due to injury. But we'll see how that plays out this weekend. Cincinnati's obviously, along with us, officially out of contention for the championship bout. And, good old Colorado, they scaled the way with not being the absolute worst team in the Big 12. So for all the Dion primetime haters, I'm sure they're a little disappointed, because they probably wanted to see another Buffalo's loss. But it is what it is. So.
Prime time.
And yeah, that's kind of where things sit here.
Y'all laugh, but right now, if Chad was on the show, he would still be making the case for Dion to be FSU's head coach next year.
I just can't see that happening, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that there's something going on with primetime personally, health wise, and all that kind of stuff that I just don't see that happening. But I don't know. All right, we got a few. We kind of touched on this a little bit, so we don't really have to hash it back over. Just talking about the ACC versus the Big 12 and the teams. I don't know. I think clearly the Big 12 is better than the ACC this year, and I don't think it's close. But yet we talk about how the ACC is going to get one, and they're trying to really push Miami into that second one. When I look at Texas Tech and BYU as being two teams that probably should make it. Especially when you're talking about, if I think the Big 12 gets 2 if Michigan loses to Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree.
If Michigan wins, then I think the Big 12 is only going to get 1 again.
Yeah.
I think what really hurt BYU, though, is when they had an opportunity to show that they belonged and they went against Texas Tech. Texas Tech pretty much didn't boat race them, but pretty damn close.
Pretty damn close. I would agree with you on that, Ed. I think for them to lock in their slot in the CFP, they have to make the scoring margin much closer for the championship game. If those are the two teams that make it there, it's
or win.
Without that, I don't think they have much argument.
Yeah, it needs to be a real good, real exciting championship game. I agree with you.
Yeah. And so
I'll concede that for sure.
So yeah, we've talked about that. And then the last one here. Ed, you want to take this one?
So, I'm going to ask, are we doing the college football? Are we showing the college football playoff rankings?
Yep, we can.
It kind of goes hand in hand with, the burning question everybody I saw on TV this week was Notre Dame being 9, Alabama being 10. If they were on a neutral field right now, if Notre Dame was playing Alabama, what would be the line? Anybody want to venture a guess what the line would be?
I'd say Alabama 2.5.
I was going to say Alabama 3. That'd be my guess.
But I guess my point is that they keep talking about Notre Dame, but if you look at a resume of a schedule for the year, teams like Bama to be put behind Notre Dame's schedule to me is laughable. And now all year long, when you talked about the top 4 Heisman candidates, never had anybody in there but quarterbacks for the most part. And now here all of a sudden, Jeremiah Love comes in as a legitimate. Right now they have him as the second highest Vegas odds of being a Heisman Trophy winner. And it's like, with the schedule, with all due respect, with the schedule they've got, especially last week or whatever when they won 70-3 or whatever the hell it was, Jeremiah Love is going to put up huge numbers to the same tune as what I was talking to Eric about this week. Troy Davis, Iowa State, years ago, back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons, got into the NFL and just wasn't able to make it. You got Jeremiah Love that all of a sudden is this top 2 Heisman candidate. If anything, look at Gianti from last year. He gets into the NFL, and it's more the Raiders' fault. But Gianti's been nothing but a disappointment in the NFL so far this year. So what do you guys think about Jeremiah Love being, a top 2 favorite Heisman candidate at this point in the season when he really didn't show up for the whole year?
Well, I think, if you want to make a comparison to Troy Davis, Troy Davis was putting up 2,000 yards back-to-back seasons, and he still played the likes of Texas and Oklahoma in Nebraska when they were
heyday.
When they
played defense.
Yeah, in the late 90s. So I don't think, looking at that schedule back when the Big 12 played everybody, I don't think that's a fair comparison because Iowa State didn't have the luxury of missing Texas or missing Oklahoma or missing Nebraska back in those days. And Troy Davis was still able to put up those numbers.
No, but what I'm saying is that when Troy Davis wasn't playing in Texas or Nebraska or Oklahoma, the other teams, you will agree with me that in the Big 8 back in those days, you had Nebraska, Texas, and Oklahoma. The rest of them didn't matter. And so on those weeks that he wasn't playing one of the top 3, he was putting up the 200, 250-yard games running the football. Whereas Jeremiah Love's doing the exact same thing. They're in the part of their schedule where they're favored by 36 points, 34 points heading into these games. He's putting up over 200 yards a game.
Right, but you also have to understand. If you put up a nothing burger against the good teams, you got to rush for about 250 yards a game against the bad ones. And when you are, back in those days when we were winning, 5, 6 games, 3 games, 4 games, whatever. Like we weren't the middle of the road, like, oh, we're the good team behind the great teams in the Big 8. You know what I'm saying? Oklahoma State was good back then. They weren't terrible. They weren't a doormat. You know what I mean? So where Notre Dame is playing the likes of, Navy and Syracuse and teams like that that truly are doormats. And so I know what you're saying.
You will get John Davis fired up, fellas.
Well, but I mean, it's being able to look at it in terms of, I guess I look at it a little different because I look at it like, and if I had the stats, I should have brought the stats up just for the comparison reasons. But he truly is doing it against doormat teams. I mean, Jeremiah Love, does anybody remember? And Ed, you might remember, was he in the Heisman talk through the first 2 games?
No.
He wasn't he hasn't been in the playoff talk that I can see till last week.
Right.
And so, I mean,
that's the part that I guess I see as, the problem is that, they have played a bunch of nothing burgers here, and, now all of a sudden he's a Heisman guy, whereas he wasn't a Heisman guy at the beginning of the year, like a lot of them are. You look at so I look at Troy Davis's 2,000-yard rushing seasons.
I should have never brought up an Iowa State running back, guys.
It's
going to be 10 o'clock before we get done with the college.
In 11 games,
smoke breaks.
We're going to go through the whole schedule.
No, 11 games, he rushed for 2,185 yards. So, I mean, his average was in that year just shy of 200 a game. I don't know what Jeremiah Love's has been, just from that standpoint of, has he been, has he rushed for almost 200?
But you're ignoring the most important factor. Jeremiah Love plays at Notre Dame.
That's probably
KJ probably has the stats handy. Where's Jeremiah Love at for the season so far, and what's he averaging rushing per game?
1306 is the total for yardage, and he is averaging 185. Or no, that's his attempts. My bad. They give the average per carry. I don't have his average per game. So,
well, you figure they played 11 games. So take that 1,306.
Yeah, divided by 11.
Total rushing yards or total yards?
It's
rushing and receiving.
Just rushing.
Love did not wait. Love had 10 carries, 33 yards against Miami. I have news for you. Troy Davis never had 10 carries for 33 yards.
What did he have against the Aggies?
A&M. Yeah. Love had 23 carries for 94 yards. So he averaged 3.3 and 4.1 against the good teams that they played.
Right.
Now you go to a Purdue. Love had 19 carries for 157 yards. I mean, so to Ed's, reasoning behind it, or Arkansas, for example, he had 14 carries for 57 yards. Like, how can we be talking about a back? I mean, I understood why Troy Davis was in the mix, simply because he was doing it against the teams he was doing it against. How is that a running back where all of a sudden we're like, ooh, Heisman talk.
We are honestly, the Heisman candidates this year have been the most limited that I can remember in my life anyways.
That's a possibility too as well. You know, that is a possibility that we're so limited with Heisman candidates that they're trying to find them somewhere.
I mean, they're few and far between.
From a yardage standpoint, the only ISU guy on this list is at number 46, and it ain't yours truly that Eric keeps touting. It's Carson Hansen.
What are you talking about?
You were talking run yards, correct? Rushing
Yeah, rushing yards.
That's all I'm saying. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth. He's the highest guy on the list from Iowa State, I guess. So that's all. I guess.
Yeah, but Troy, we were talking. I'm just using Troy. He used Troy Davis example. Troy Davis was in 97, 98,
okay,
and 99, or 96, 97, 90, or 96, 97, somewhere right in there. I was in college at the same time he was. So, I kind of, yeah. Like I said, Carson Hansen.
So that makes Troy Davis about 60.
Oh, God. Whatever.
I was saying he walked into his own old joke right there, Ed. Good job.
Yeah. Anyway, there is the current college football playoff bracket as it is. They have Miami in at number 11 as they're saying that Miami is going to win the ACC. I don't know how. I must be missing something.
Yeah.
But you know, they've got Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon from the Big Ten. They've got Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, Georgia from the SEC. They've got Tulane and Texas Tech. So, and then Notre Dame. So that's how they currently have it set up, boys.
Yeah, this will be distinctly different in a week.
And this is even with Michigan not in there. And as you can see, the first two teams out are both Big 12 teams. BYU
Who is that?
and Utah.
BYU. Oh,
Yep,
Utah.
BYU and Utah. So that's how it is. All right. Because we're woefully behind, we got to get to our picks. First game, Iowa, 7-4, 5.5-point favorites at Nebraska, 7-4. It is a Black Friday game at 11 a.m. I'm sure Chad would pick Nebraska. Actually, he sent his picks. I better get him here.
I have it. Chad took Iowa.
If he picked them, I'm going to be stupidly surprised.
No, I knew he was taking Iowa. I am going to take Iowa as well. I think Nebraska's just kind of.
I thought about getting a hold of Chad and have him come on as a guest picker for this game.
Yeah, just for this game.
Just for this pick.
Yeah. KJ, who you got?
Yeah, if I've learned anything from Mr. Chad, it's I've never met someone with a greater bleak outlook for one's alleged favorite team. But then, ironically, in some weird cosmic way, being the most accurate predictor for his squad at the same time. So I'm going to take the Chad logic here, and I have to go Hawkeyes as well. So, or
Brett,
yeah,
Hawkeyes. Brett,
sorry, in Iowa.
Yeah, geez, there's the kiss of death. And you going corn shuckers, Ed?
Oh, no. I think Iowa has a chance to pull out yet another 8-win season. So
another suspect 8-win season.
Hopefully one of these years, the schedule gods look down on Iowa. This year,
the only way Nebraska wins this game is if all the Iowa fans go Black Friday shopping and Nebraska wins from the benefit of an 11 a.m. Friday game that they've never played.
Ohio State better hope they never schedule the Hawkeyes. That's,
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. Marty's got.
Who you taking, Eric?
I took Iowa already, man. I was way ahead of you.
So that's
Marty took
sweep, huh?
Well, Marty took Nebraska, so.
And just so you know, every year on Black Friday, yours truly has a tailgate. for the Iowa-Nebraska game because I've got family. Well, one family member that's unfortunately a Nebraska fan. So every Friday we have a tailgate, and when we used to live in Iowa, there were days we were standing outside grilling at 10 degrees, trying to drink beer, freezing our ass off. So the tradition continues this year. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
So Thursday NFL, Friday is tailgate.
That's why. So.
Yeah. All right, next game, Georgia. Number 4, Georgia, 10-1, 13.5-point favorites at number 23. Georgia Tech, 9-2, also a Black Friday game. And I am also taking Georgia. Who's Chad got?
He's got Georgia as well, as do I.
Brett?
Unfortunately, I got to take Georgia. I would love the upset, but Georgia's not going to cover that spread, in my opinion. But give me Georgia.
Yeah, Marty has Georgia. KJ?
Yeah, I think the Pitt loss to me just highlighted some glaring chinks in the armor for the Yellow Jackets. So I'm going to go Bulldogs.
So do the scenario one more time, Brett. How does rivalry weekend have to fall, and who would the teams be in the SEC championship? Who would it be as if it was right now?
Right now, it would be Alabama and A&M. But if we didn't play another game, it'd be Alabama and A&M. Alabama's got one SEC loss. So does Georgia, but they get the tiebreaker on Georgia because they beat Georgia. The Aggies do not have an SEC loss. Ole Miss would need to beat Mississippi State, and they would need, I think, Georgia and Alabama to lose to squeak into the SEC championship game.
So the only way Georgia gets into the championship game is if Georgia wins and Texas A&M loses?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgia's going to need to win, and Texas A&M is going to need to lose.
Did KJ pick the game?
Yep, KJ took Georgia.
So that's another clean sweep.
Yep, and I think Big Mike, Marty took Georgia. Big Mike took Iowa. Big Mike, you gotta get your Georgia Tech pick in. All right, next game. Number 3, Texas A&M, 11-0, 1.5-point favorites at number 16, Texas. Who's Chad got?
He's got A&M.
Brett, who you got?
Man, Texas, no matter where they play Texas A&M, they've got some type of damn wicked voodoo on their ass. I mean, it don't matter. I'm going against. Look at the records. Y'all look at that. 11-0, 8-3, and they're 1.5-point favorite. I know it's at Texas, but Texas has just had their number for so many years. I think they finally gig them Aggies.
Ed?
I went Texas A&M as well. I just think that Texas A&M has gone this whole season. They're sitting in a catbird seat for the playoffs. There's just too much at stake. They're not going to take this game lightly. I got A&M.
KJ?
Gig 'em.
So, this would be a perfectly opportune time to take Texas, so maybe I could game.
Do it.
I just can't do it. A&M's
He's doing the math, guys. He's doing the math.
You did the math. Well, you're 10 games back, but
yeah, that's all hypothetical. We know if I was in the right frame of mind this whole time, who would be leading.
You were in the right frame of mind, and you had a 3-8 week, dude. You had a 3-8 week, dude.
Back. You guys all know that I'd have been way over 500, but you made me 500. So we know
Oh,
how
yeah.
this goes.
You're glad.
I'm a good guy.
And just take the L and own the
You would have
easy handicap of I
you
was
would
in the
have
hospital,
gladly
bro.
you would have gladly
That's the
taken
best way to get
500.
out of it.
You'd have
Brett
gladly
and
taken
I-
500 in that 3 and 8 week, bud. 3 and
Brett
8.
and I are both enjoying being at the so-called bottom, just spewing truth out to you guys. Just keep
Oh,
going ahead and
God.
picking your teams.
All right. Big Mike, he went with Georgia Tech in the upset, so he's by himself there. Marty took Texas A&M. Come on, Big Mike, keep up. A&M or Texas? A&M or Texas? Next game. Number 25, Arizona, 8-3, 1.5 point favorites at number 20, Arizona State, 8-3.
Chad took Arizona State.
Chad took Arizona State. KJ, who you got?
I'm going Wildcats on this one. I think the QB injury and just being the end of the year with the rivalry component is going to push Wildcats to pull off an upset.
I have Arizona as well. Arizona's playing some good football, and I think they cover. Brett?
Is this Kenny Dillingham's last game in Arizona State?
It might be. Marty's got
Unfortunately,
Arizona.
I'm with you guys. I'm going with the upset with Arizona. The Wildcats.
Ed?
I got Arizona as well. So Chad's out on a limb there. He has a chance to make up one on you, Eric. How can you be allowing that to happen?
Big Mike's got Texas A&M. He got Arizona State, Big Mike. Marty's got Arizona. Let's see. Next game, Ohio State, number 1, 11-0, 9.5 point favorites over number 15, Michigan. It is at Michigan, 9-2. Who you got?
Chad is taking Michigan.
Who you taking, Ed?
Oh God. I've been going back and forth, and finally I just think Ohio State's going to right the wrong. Finally, I think they're going to go in and take it.
KJ?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think this could be the year they break the Big Blue curse. I know one person from Michigan, and I have no connection to that weird goofy state. So.
Marty has Ohio State. Big Mike, who you got? Big Mike, you're behind. We need Arizona State, and Ohio State, Michigan. Brett, who you got?
Unfortunately, Ohio State in the snow flurries, and I don't even think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a big disappointment for everyone looking forward to watching that game. I think Ohio State big.
I also have Ohio State. So Chad has an opportunity to make 2 games up or fall out. Next game, Miami, number 12, Miami, 9-2, 6.5 point favorites at number 22, Pittsburgh. After seeing Pittsburgh's performance, I don't have much faith in Miami anyway, but I'm going to take Miami. KJ?
Yeah, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you here. I think I've seen enough, and the home field advantage is just going to be that much more of an aid to Pitt.
Brett?
Man, Miami don't play good in cold weather. They never have. Give me Pittsburgh by a field goal.
Ed?
First off, Chad's got Miami. And I think this is going to be the week that all the hype and the arguing over Notre Dame or Miami, who deserves to be in there. I think Pittsburgh's going to take Miami's train down. I think this will be the death blow for Miami coming up.
All right. Next game. Number
Wait,
14,
Brett, who'd you take, Brett?
Pitt.
Pitt.
Number 14, Vandy.
Who'd you take, Eric?
Miami. What are you so far behind on? Trying to roll through these. God, it's like 10 o'clock already. Big Mike took Texas A&M. I knew that already.
No, they're not related, folks. No.
Big Mike must be way behind tonight. Vandy, number 14, Vandy, 9-2 at number 19. Tennessee, 8-3. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite. All right, Brett, who you got here?
Tennessee's offense is extremely, extremely frustrating to defend against. Vanderbilt does not have the athletes, the Pavia magic. He ain't going nowhere. He's gonna keep fighting. But unfortunately, Tennessee's just gonna have a little too much. I think that line right on the money. Tennessee by 3 or 4.
Ed?
Chad's got Vanderbilt, and I'm taking Tennessee. I think Vanderbilt's had an awesome season. They let a couple games get away from them. They could have very well won. But I think Tennessee at home is a different team. I think Tennessee and the wave of orange is going to be too much for Vandy.
KJ?
He did that strictly to keep the peace at home.
Yeah, we know how that goes. Marty's got Tennessee.
We can't see on the side over here. She's standing there with a baseball bat.
Yeah, she's got a baseball bat. Like, make your pick, buddy.
Hey, I learned my lesson. My Cougs got beat yesterday. Yeah. My wife was all talking smack like, oh, we're going to beat you. I was like, bro, shut up. We beat you last year. And I just got humbled. So I feel like I have to respect the hustle and go with the balls.
Last game. And we got to move on.
Once again, are you just kind of slipping your picks in there, or my?
I said Tennessee. You got to turn your hearing aid up for crying out loud. Good Lord. Big Mike went Michigan.
Once again, Chad could Chad could be tied with you.
Yeah, I know.
He's got a third one there that he's went against the grade.
Alabama, number 10, Alabama, 9-2, 6.5-point favorites at Auburn. I'm taking Alabama. This is a nothing burger. Rivalry or not, I don't care. Who you got, Brett? Auburn by 50?
Give me Auburn.
Oh my God!
Are you like this week's version of Chad or what?
Guys, I have seen some shit down at that stadium, and I don't ask any Alabama fan. It's hard to explain. I mean, Nick Saban's last 2 games down in Auburn, it took a 4th and 31 to beat Auburn, and like 4 overtimes the time before. Both times we were a superior team. We're a better team this year. Don't matter down there, man. I'm telling you, it don't matter. Give me Auburn, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong.
All right, Ed.
I got to go Alabama.
Chad?
Their whole season's on the line this game.
Yeah, you're shorting your team, man. So Ed,
the damn sound.
Let's let him do his job. Come on.
Yeah, who's Chad got, Ed?
Chad has got Alabama.
KJ?
Yeah, me and Brett for once agree. The Tigers.
Wow. Marty's got Alabama.
You better look when you leave for work in the morning. Brett, you better be looking both ways before you come walking out of your house. There might be a couple Alabama snipers dressed like elephants.
He lives at
yeah, he lives at beep, 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 beep.
What's that old saying? Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. With a stick with a mirror on it, so you can look under your car and make sure it don't explode.
Yeah.
Big Mike's got Tennessee. Big Mike, we're missing your Alabama Auburn pick. Catch up. Catch up. All right. Well, we don't have time to wait. So we are going to catch a word from our sponsor, and then we have to move on to the NFL because we are woefully behind. So we'll see you on the other side. Oh, all right. We have got to move here, Ed. I think you talk too much, I think it's your fault.
That just goes to show you, these other podcasts taking time off when just look at all the content there is out there to talk about. You can't be taking time off this time of year. What the hell?
UFL content, college football, NFL, all sorts of things going on. One thing you can count on, bottom line. All right. We'll wait for Brett to get back here, but I'm going to get started on the NFL power rankings. Hey, Big Mike's got Alabama, so he's got all his picks in now, so we're good. Big changes in the power rankings this week. LA takes over the top spot. I think they are probably the most complete team, and I know you would agree, Ed, that if I was to take one of these teams on this graphic here, they would be my Super Bowl favorite. They're the only ones that I don't think have a chink in the armor, if you will, at this point. They're fairly healthy. Matt Stafford is playing at an MVP level. I think it's just I think if I had to pick a Super Bowl favorite right now out of all these teams, it'd definitely be LA Rams. Then a couple AFC teams and the Patriots and the Broncos. The Broncos just continue to win ugly. But in the NFL, W's are W's. I don't care. They're all professional teams. I think, even though we look at teams like the Raiders and the Saints as being not very good, the margin between the Rams and the Raiders is a lot thinner than you think it is. In college football, you look at Tulane, being the 12th team in the college playoff right now. Would we consider the margin between Tulane and Ohio State as thin?
No.
You're going to take Ohio State 10 out of 10 times, right? And Ohio State's probably going to win 10 out of 10 times. But in the NFL, we've seen it week after week after week. How did they lose to this team? Or how did this team get beat by that team? There's only something that each team is missing. So, when it comes to LA, they're the most complete. And, when it comes to Denver and the Patriots, I think the Patriots are just a little more complete than Denver. Drake May's having a heck of a season at quarterback. And Bo Nix is kind of here and there, show up in the fourth quarter type of thing. So that's why I have yes, I did, Mike. Got all your picks. Got them down. Philadelphia slides to 4. I don't know. Philadelphia has offensive problems. If you look at their game this week against Dallas, being up 21-0, I'm thinking, this game ain't worth watching. They're going to boat race them. And they didn't score another point. It was 21-0 with like 11 minutes left in the second quarter. And they didn't score another point. AJ Brown had 10 targets. Vontae Smith had 11 targets. and Saquon Barkley had 10 carries. Everybody's happy, right, Ed? But guess what? It does not equate to a Philadelphia win. Philadelphia has to get back to, in order for Philadelphia, I think, to be a true, even though they have a tremendously good defense, in order for Philadelphia to get back to, that Super Bowl caliber team that we think they are, they have got to start doing things the Philadelphia way, and they've got to, we don't have to target A.J. Brown 10 times a game. Sometimes it'll be 10, sometimes it'll be 2. Devontae Smith, sometimes it'll be 11, sometimes it'll be 2. We can't just, throw the playbook out and try to make everybody happy, because offensively that just kills Philadelphia. The Lions, took everything they had to beat the New York Giants this week. I don't know. There's just something off about the Lions. And that was at home. Usually we say, Detroit at home, they're going to roll in the dome. But it just, I don't know.
That's why it's just shocking to me how you have Detroit number 5 when they've shown time and time again this year they're not a road team. And now they're even struggling at home.
But
how they can be a top 5 team, I don't agree with that at all.
But they win. 27-24, or what was it, 34-27 over the Giants, whatever it was. It's still a W, and W's are hard to come by in the NFL.
Okay, but when you talk about razor-thin margins like that, and games can come down to field goals, you tell me, do you have trust in the Detroit head coach?
Well,
he's going to learn anything and learn when it's a good thing to take a field goal.
That'll be the determining factor going forward as to whether the Detroit Lions can stay in the top, 10 of the power rankings. Is Campbell going to learn anything, and is Campbell going to get better as a play caller?
So you got Detroit on national TV tomorrow. All eyes are going to be on Dan Campbell, and the media is going to be talking about how great of a coach he is, and he's a player's coach and everything. Let's see if he uses common sense tomorrow, or whether he still goes with that gunslinger, I'm going for it on 4th down no matter what. We'll see which head coach plays out.
That'll be the biggest thing that I think hinders Detroit, is if he doesn't get away from that and he actually looks at what makes sense in different areas, instead of, well, I'm Dan Campbell, I've got to make this risky, or I've got to make, we've got to go for this one. He's got to evolve as a play caller as well. And so we'll see if Detroit can hold that. Seattle in the 6th spot. If Sam Darnold can understand when to throw the ball away or when to even take a sack, I think Seattle is a team I would not want to play in the playoffs, because you don't know what you're going to get. If Sam Darnold comes out and he doesn't make those mistakes, the Rams beat him 21-19, and he threw 4 picks.
Seattle should have a cupcake game this week, but they interviewed Brian Flores today, and he made no bones about it. They're blitzing, and they're blitzing, and they're blitzing again. They're coming after Sam Darnold. See if he can hold up and make good decisions. So,
well, let's face it. They can't hardly blitz any more than they did against the Chicago Bears. They blitz Caleb Williams 78% of the time.
Yeah, but Caleb Williams is slipperier than done.
I get that, but if Sam Darnold can bounce a couple of those blitzes, it may force him to take a little of the pressure off. Because I don't think I don't think the Rams, I'd have to look at their blitzing percentage against them that night against Seattle. It'll just be better to see if they can put enough pressure on him to get him to throw into those situations. 49ers at 7. The Colts had a golden opportunity to put the Chiefs away, and they couldn't do it. They just couldn't get out of their own way. So they fall to 8. After 8, the Bears, again, could be a playoff team. They're a fun story. I see they made a lot of the top 10s in the national media. We'll see. We'll see where that goes.
Let's put it this way. Chicago will have my respect if they go into Philadelphia this week and beat them because, that for all the crap that Chicago has taken this year about their schedule so far, they're going into a pissed off Philadelphia team that let a game get away from them last week, which I don't think bodes well for Chicago coming into Philadelphia. But if Chicago can go into Philadelphia and make it a game, I think they get a lot of respect. But I could very easily see Philadelphia maybe not boat racing them, but winning comfortable.
Well, the thing about Philadelphia is you can come in mad about dropping a game to the Cowboys like that, but their offensive problems are their offensive problems. I think this game hinges on, can the Bears move the ball against the Philadelphia defense? If they can't, then I think Philadelphia only needs to score 17 points. Very similar to, Green Bay, very similar to Detroit. But if the Bears offense can move the football, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Philadelphia's offense, and that's exactly where I want the pressure on, is Philadelphia's offense. Now, that being said,
so as a fellow Bears fan, Brett, do you share that same philosophy for the game, or how do you view it?
Like I said, I'm old school line of scrimmage guy, and to me, and we talked about it privately already. I think we started on this game Sunday, me and Eric. I just look, the Bears don't have that good defense to begin with. We've got all kinds of guys banged up. I did see where Jalen's possibility he could come back the first or second week of December, which would be great for a playoff run. Our all-pro cornerback, which is rated, he's been rated top 5 cornerback in the league the last 3 years. He's fantastic. We haven't had him. I just feel like this is a really bad matchup. I know the Bears spanked the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys turned around and ran roughshod over the Eagles the other night, at home the second half. But I just feel this is a really bad matchup for the Bears on both lines of scrimmage. Now, if we could fast forward, get Michael J. Fox and his little DeLorean involved, I feel like if the Bears draft where they need to next year, the Bears could be a legitimate contender. I don't think we're there yet. I'm not oblivious to reality. I am very proud at the team's effort and how they have not folded like a lawn chair this year. The only time when they folded was early in the season against the Lions in Detroit. Other than that, our team has fought and fought and fought. Personally, I just feel Philadelphia is just too big and too strong on both lines of scrimmage. I know Lane Johnson, one of their All-Pros, is out. But they're 2 tackles. Then you got Nakobe Dean. And then you got the kid from Iowa played cornerback. You've got the other Mitchell that's a fantastic cornerback. I mean, dude, what did I say before last season even started? That I felt like Philadelphia was the most talented team in the NFL. And if they didn't make it to the NFC Championship game, that coach should have been fired. Well, here we are. They're defending Super Bowl champions now. And I'm proud and very happy to see that our Bears are finally, thank God, finally moving in the right direction. But the game is still won in the trenches, and I don't think we have enough to. I think Philadelphia probably at least 10 to 14 points over Chicago Friday, and it might get worse than that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. I just think it's a really bad matchup for the Bears.
Baltimore 10. I think, same way I think with Brock Purdy. I don't think Lamar Jackson is 100% healthy. There's something off there in Baltimore. So we'll
Their
see.
whole team still seems shaky, don't it?
Yeah, there's just something off. Lamar doesn't look 100% healthy. Brock Purdy didn't look 100% healthy. Like, there's something off there. So we'll see. The Chiefs, I still don't have much faith in the Chiefs, even though they did pull that win out against the Colts.
Tell you what, that's a huge game tomorrow. I mean, it pretty much puts the nail in the coffin of either team. That's almost like a playoff game. Both teams teams need to win that game, and the loser really puts themselves behind the 8 ball. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you look at Kansas City played a late afternoon game on Sunday.
Yeah.
To turn around and play a Thursday game, I mean, there's players that can't even function by
till
Thursday.
Wednesday. Yeah, till Wednesday.
I watched a documentary on Kirk Cousins back when he was a Minnesota Viking quarterback, and there were weeks that he literally was in ice water and couldn't even throw a football till Fridays. And so to see, and he's a quarterback that's not getting hit near as much as these linemen that go play after play after play, to be able to turn around basically 3.5 days later and play another game of this caliber. I mean, I don't know. It's not just Thanksgiving Day, because they've had Thanksgiving games since whenever, but the NFL really needs, from a safety standpoint, to look at these Thursday games, because I think there's some careers being shortened because of these Thursday games, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would agree with you too there. Green Bay, their identity, that's the biggest thing when I look at all these teams, is a lot of them just don't have identities on what they want to do. And I think Green Bay kind of falls into that. And Green Bay is a team that I think it can beat anybody, but I also think they're a team that can lose to anybody. Well,
you look at this game last week with Minnesota. Minnesota played horrible.
Yeah, and it was 10-6.
And you take one special teams blunder away, that game was a one-score game for almost into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So to say that Green Bay is this playing good football, they're not playing good football either.
No. Then Buffalo at 13 and Tampa Bay, depending on where Baker Mayfield's at, I mean, that may have opened the door for Carolina. If Baker Mayfield's shoulder is going to sideline him for a substantial amount of time.
It's his non-throwing shoulder, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but again,
if you remember Carson Wentz here a few weeks ago, that was his non-throwing shoulder too.
Yeah.
Tell that guy was in big time pain.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I say the pirate ship is taking on some major water.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You may see a team come out of that division with a sub 500 record.
Yeah, 8-9 or 9-8. Yeah, very possible.
And then, of course, teams in the hunt. You got Jacksonville, Carolina, and the Chargers. And I think, Jacksonville's that team that, gosh, you just don't know what team's going to show up. And
the definition of bipolar, if you're a Jacksonville fan,
but
I don't know how you pick if you're picking these games for a living. Bless your heart, first of all. But if you're a professional gambler and it don't matter what kind of inside information you got on Jacksonville or not, I don't know how in the hell you would bet on them or against them. I would stay away from Jacksonville if you just had to bet on a game. I'd probably just omit that one each week.
Yeah,
they're becoming a real thorn in Kansas City's side, because as you look at the playoff field, Kansas City is one of the, Jacksonville's one of those teams that Kansas City's banking on to, start losing down the stretch. But yet they're that team that every week is squeaking out a 3-point win.
Yep.
And the problem with that is ultimately when the playoffs start, if Jacksonville gets in there over a Kansas City, first round playoffs, which do you think is going to be a better game to watch? A game that has Kansas City in it, or a team playing Jacksonville with Jacksonville's a number 7 seed? to me, the Jacksonville game could be a real nothing burger. Go out and mow the yard in the second half because it's over by halftime. They have a chance to really put a wrench in the field when you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chargers. To have a team like Jacksonville still hanging around is a real threat.
Well, and if you look at the playoff picture as it is now, as it sits, there's your field. You don't see Kansas City. You don't see Pittsburgh anymore. You now see Baltimore. I think the 1 seeds, I don't see the 1 seeds changing. Philadelphia really kind of crapped in their Wheaties a little bit when they lost to Dallas. And I think LA and the Patriots are going to have a stranglehold of the 1 seeds. I could be wrong. But you look at from the 1 seed in the AFC, the 1 seed to the 7 seed, which currently is Buffalo. Who do you bet on in that field?
Excuse me.
Who do you bet on in that field?
Well, again, Jacksonville to me is the wild card team, because if you take Jacksonville out and you insert Kansas City, does that not make the field look a hell of a lot better?
Well, I mean, but I get that. We're thinking about Kansas City in terms of the old Kansas City. Have you watched some of Kansas City's games? I'm
not saying they've been playing like Super Bowl contenders, but I think that when push comes to shove and the lights are on, who are you going to put your money on putting a better performance out there on the field? Kansas City with their history or Jacksonville?
Yeah. Listen, if you're a matchup guy, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt you go with Kansas City. But for me, I would much rather see Jacksonville in there, because that means that Kansas City is not in there.
Yeah.
We can fully put that stuff behind us as far as the, putting the Kansas City dynasty to bed,
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see that. But so you look at the standings from the AFC. I mean, that's where it's at. I think it's safe to say Kansas City's not winning the West. I think Denver right now, has a stranglehold on it. Jacksonville sitting at 7-4. Watch out for Houston. Houston's playing some good football.
I just want to comment to Marty. He talks about cutting grass in November. We're still cutting grass here in St. Louis in November. So
not in Iowa. There is no grass cutting in Iowa in November. I can promise you that. The East clearly is New England, and with their strength of schedule being dead last, I think they should hold on to that. And as predicted, Baltimore has catapulted themselves to the top of the AFC North, and I don't really see any of those North teams threatening. Although, if Joe Burrow stays healthy, he is going to play for Cincinnati this week. That could throw a wrench into some of that. Not saying Cincinnati's going to come back and win it, but Cincinnati could have something to say as to who ends up winning the AFC North.
Wouldn't it be wild, though, if they won their last 6 games and went to the playoff and Joe Burrow was healthy? Everybody on the AFC side would be like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. On the NFC side, like I said, I don't see it finishing this way with Chicago on top, but isn't that pretty, Brett? That's just pretty.
Hey, it's nice, Clark. It's real nice.
It's real nice.
Get yourself something real nice.
The Rams, I think are going to be the eventual winners in the NFC West. Philadelphia, even with their loss to Dallas, I mean, the East has not been all that good at all. And in fact, Chicago's done Philadelphia a favor. They've beaten every team in the NFC East. And then the Tampa Bay division, Carolina, if they wouldn't have coughed that up, I mean, could be looking at something substantially different. That NFC South is just a train wreck, and you easily if Baker Mayfield's out for a stretch, you easily could see a team with a losing record make the playoffs.
And the NFC South's been a train wreck for a handful of years now, which tells you the GMs of those teams have no idea what they're doing when it comes to draft picks and free agency. I mean, they've been down for 4, 5, 6 years now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the division standings as they sit. You're
not going to talk about my boys, Cowboys. Put that back up there real quick. I got to get some hope into my boy Marty. Look at that, Marty. And what I tell you. I said, when they got our boy from Alabama, he going to start controlling the line of scrimmage. Ain't nobody talking about the Cowboys. Everybody make fun of them, all that other. They really, if you guys remember that late Sunday night game when they played Green Bay at home, ended up in a tie. But that was the game I thought that Dallas really screwed themselves on a shot at the playoffs because in my eyes, from what I watched in that game, they controlled the game and ended up just letting it get into a tie. But dude, I'm telling you, the Dallas a little healthy on offense. They got some weapons. Oh, Jerry's up there in the booth doing his thing. Got to give all my buddies some hope. All my buddies are the Cowboys fans. How about them Cowboys?
They've been able to work on their defense and obviously make them better, especially stopping the run. So suddenly, when you looked at their ability to sign a second number one receiver, it becomes very doable now. And Jerry's not going to be able to help himself. He's going to sign Pickens to a contract. They're going to have 2 number one receivers. And who would have thought that Pickens would actually be outperforming Lamb? This year, I don't know what happened to Lamb, but he's got the dropsies, man.
Yeah.
I've always been high on Pickens. He literally grew up 45 minutes for me. High on Pickens on the field. I'm surprised they've been able to contain him and keep him straight because I know what he was like in high school. I know what he was like at the University of Georgia and Athens. And obviously Tomlin finally got tired of dealing with him at Pittsburgh. Pickens can be a TO/AB/whatever off the field and in the locker room. So that's something you always want to watch with him. But ability, Pickens has got all the ability in the world.
Well, the problem is, let's face it, Pittsburgh is where good receivers go to die. I mean, let's be honest here. It seems like a lot of Pittsburgh receivers leave Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we forgot they were good.
Yeah, they can catch the ball.
Yeah, we forgot they were good. So let's.
Speaking of, when you're talking about Pickens and his personal life and issues off the field, they had an interview with Jamar Chase today too, and they were more or less trying to get him to, did he feel bad about the spitting incident, and what does that say about his character and stuff? And Jamar Chase wasn't having it, man. He just basically told their media guy, you worry about what I do as a football player on the field. As far as what happens off the field, that's nobody's business. You can like me or not.
Right.
Well, that's the LSU in him, and I'll leave
that's
it
very
there.
LSU of him.
Yeah.
So
never go full LSU. That's all I'm going to say.
So since Marty's listening, the Cowboys did beat the Eagles. Do we have to, or is it too late? Do we have to consider the Dallas Cowboys as a potential playoff contender? You see the struggles that the Eagles are having offensively. You see that Dallas has shored up that defense enough where it is very difficult to run against them. They still have problems at corner. That's clear. But the offense, Dak has them cooking. Pickens, Lamb, they're getting some yards in the run game. enough to keep Dak upright. I mean, do we have to consider the Cowboys as a playoff contender, Brett?
This team today, right now, yes. I just don't know if they got too many losses already from earlier in the season.
Right.
Dude, I'm not a Dallas hater. I started, a lot of people I know are Dallas fans. And, for some reason, I like Jerry's silly self. And I know he wants to win another one so bad. And, he's just so involved with it. He reminds me sort of like if I had his money and I owned a team, I would be all up in their business just like him. Not saying it's a good thing, but Dallas, look, wouldn't it be interesting if Dallas and Jerry Jones kind of ended the Kansas City dynasty this week?
Yeah.
They're going to have a problem in Dallas. I'm telling you, that they're not going to walk in there and just mop the turf with them. That ain't going to happen.
No.
I worry about Dallas's Dak because the KC defense coordinator is fantastic, and he's going to bring the heat on Dak. And can Dak throw the ball away? Similar to what we said about Darnold earlier. But yes, you heard it here first. If Dallas wins, if they win this weekend, Dallas will be in the playoffs at the end of the season.
I think you got to go back to week 9 when Dallas had a chance to be at 500 going into their bye week, and they lost to Arizona on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
If Dallas could have went into their bye week at 500. Then you're coming off the bye and you get to build on that. When you come back from the bye and you're 3-5-1, these 2 big wins they've had the last 2 weeks has just got them back to 500.
Right.
I think a week 9 win or loss that they had is going to come back to really bite them as far as their chances to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with Ed. I don't see it. While they've had kind of a resurgence here, I would think that they would have to run the table.
Yeah, I think if they were lucky, they could afford to lose one more game this season and make it playoffs, but they'd have to be lucky. So you're right. They would. What are they? What's the record right at 5-5-1, 11-6? They would have to go 5-1 or 6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose I haven't looked at Dallas's schedule. Because ironically enough, when I was figuring out playoff teams, Dallas did not figure into that.
Right.
But if I look at their schedule going forward,
Dallas, they play Kansas City, then they're at Detroit, at home against Minnesota, which I will be there. They go, they have a home game against the Chargers, at Washington, and at New York. So could they conceivably get through that schedule with one more loss? Possibly. But I think there's at least one more loss in that schedule yet.
If they beat Kansas City, if they can beat Kansas City, I could plausibly see it. If they can beat Kansas City.
Well, going 10-6-1 and squeaking in.
Yeah, I can see that. I could see.
You got to beat Kansas City. You don't beat Kansas City, your season's over.
Forget it. Yeah, the season's over for whoever loses tomorrow. That's just how I see it. Anyway, let's we talked about the Rams being the clear favorite. Let's talk about how big a game this is for these two teams. Okay. If the Lions win, that puts them at 8-4. Could potentially put them in first place if the Bears lose. It would move the Packers to 7-4-1 and back down into third place in the NFC North. Who is this a bigger game for, Ed? The Lions or the Packers?
I say the Lions for this simple fact that, again, like I said before, Detroit has shown they're not a road team this year. Their ability to win on the road has not been there whatsoever. So they got to defend their home turf. And if they lose another game on their home field, they're sealing their fate, I think. I think it's sealed already. But there's no way Detroit can lose this game tomorrow. They got to win it.
Yeah, and I think the Lions' last home game this season, I want to say, is in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah, Detroit plays at Chicago. Well, they play Green Bay. They play at home against Dallas, at home against the Rams, or at the Rams, home against Pittsburgh, and then at Minnesota and Chicago. So
a rough schedule.
They got a rough schedule coming up. So this is a win they got to have. They got to be able to win their home games. Yeah. And the fact that they play Green Bay at home, Dallas at home, Pittsburgh at home, that's got to be a clean sweep, because are you going to be able to go on the road and beat the Rams? I don't think so.
And the Bears, it's going to be probably 25 degrees and the wind blowing 25 miles an hour in Chicago the last game of the year.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt it's going to be favorable weather for their dome team, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Let's see. I think because of time, we're just going to what do you think, Ed? I'm just going to do a little update on these, huh?
Yeah, do your quick hitters.
Yeah, we'll do the quick hitters. Baker Mayfield's shoulder, I haven't heard anything as to if he's going to have an extended amount of time out. Have you guys heard anything on Baker's shoulder?
I hadn't seen anything go across my timeline.
They said that he's getting some of the reps, but not much. They've got Bridgewater.
Yeah,
has been working with the number ones most of the week. I gotta believe that. God, I don't. I mean, can the Bucs afford to not to have Terry Bridgewater start that game?
Who does Tampa play this week?
They have
they play Arizona.
The Cardinals at home.
That would be. I mean, if Teddy Bridgewater plays that game and they lose it, and they lose to a 3-8 Arizona team, it's panic time in Tampa Bay, because
no question.
Yeah.
Well,
I think at home without Baker, I think they could probably squeeze out a win in that one. I wouldn't put him in there. I'd give him an extra week to try to heal that shoulder up. I wonder who they have after Arizona.
Here's their problem with their schedule. If you run the risk of playing Baker and he Carson Wentz's it, and he ends up having shoulder surgery, they've got at home versus the Cardinals, at home against the Saints, at home against the Falcons, at Carolina, at Miami, and at home against Carolina. So you run the risk of playing him
to go 4-2 without Baker with that schedule.
Yeah, but here's the deal. How important are those two Carolina games now? You run the risk of putting Baker out there and he smokes his shoulder, and then he doesn't play the last, let's just say, 4 games. Then what? You could easily drop those last 3 games to 2 Carolinas and the Miami.
That's why I wouldn't start Baker. I wouldn't let him play for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Just see how that shoulder does.
The thing is the injury with Baker Mayfield's shoulder is nothing structural. So
Big Mike says here it's a sprained shoulder, out 1 or 2 weeks.
Right. So it becomes a pain tolerance thing for him more than anything else. Yeah. But, can he shoot up his shoulder? He obviously didn't shoot it up last week because, it was a fresh injury. So,
yeah. So, Sanders gets his second start against the 49ers. I believe that game is in Cleveland. Let's see. Where do I have it here? Yes, it is at Cleveland. So we'll see. Shadeur is just kind of too goofy for me. I don't mind a corner being goofy. I don't mind this guy being I need my quarterback to be more right here. Says the right things.
He kind of reminds you of Jameis, don't he?
Yeah, he's just kind of, I don't know.
Here's the problem for the 49ers, though. You got a game in Cleveland. When Cleveland gets the luxury of actually having a lead, the Cleveland defense is outstanding. So if for whatever reason Shadeur is able to get Cleveland an early lead, look out, baby. The Cleveland defense, they could make it real hard on old Brock Purdy.
Well, and he's not healthy. Brock Purdy is not healthy. He cannot drive the football off that foot. There's no way. There's just no way.
Did they rush him back?
I think so. Well, I think it's a case where the toe wasn't going to get any better, so it's either play now or don't play the rest of the season type of thing.
And there's been a groundswell, of everybody wanting him to go back to Mac Jones.
It ain't happening. It's just not happening.
Not unless his foot gets worse. I mean, there's no sense in ruining the kid's career over one season.
Right. Coordinators are getting whacked. Kelly's out in Vegas. Bowen's out in New York. It's just the Raiders. The Raiders.
Money must be good in Vegas because they gave Jim Kelly a 3-year, $18 million deal, and he didn't even last but half the season.
Yeah.
So once again, they're writing a check, baby.
Yep.
Oh, it was reported today that if you remember correctly, Tom Brady is now a minority owner for the Vegas Raiders, and he played a big part in getting Chip Kelly there from Ohio State. We won the Natty last year, and reportedly, Tom wasn't real happy that he got let go. So, typical Raiders. Typical
move. Yeah. We talked about this already. Burrow is in, but it sounds like T. Higgins is out this week. So he'll be without that service, but Jamar Chase will be back.
Chase will be spitting and grinning, baby.
Yeah, we talked about, Purdy and Jamar Jackson struggling a little bit because I don't think they're 100% healthy. But, they're in, so they're just going to have to do it. And finally, Ayuk, surprisingly enough, is not happy again in San Francisco. Reports of him.
What did I hear? That not hitting a deadline on an appeal or whatever. The 49ers took $25 million guaranteed.
Yeah, took money away from
him, but it was because he didn't do what he was supposed to do within a certain time frame.
No, he was not attending meetings. He was going to the facility to work out before any of the players showed up, and he was leaving the building, had zero contact with the players. And I'm thinking to myself, at the beginning of the season, they said Ayuk could be back somewhere between week 5 and 7. We're in week 13 or 12, whatever it is, 13. And he's a nothing burger. I mean, it's a total diva receiver thing. And I don't know. Ayuk has just made up his mind that the money
lost $25 million of his contract is gone.
Of the guaranteed because he did not attend the team meetings and the group meetings and things like that. He just refused to show up.
Yeah, he'll never make that money up.
No, it's gone. No.
And his attitude is something that I think the other teams might look at and say, I don't want that kind of stuff on our team.
Oh, if I was the 49ers, he would have been gone yesterday, but please God, Chicago, don't pick him up. We're trending. Don't go back.
Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up.
We can't handle no more.
Let's try to get our time back in the groove here. Our picks. Green Bay, 7-3-1 at Detroit. 7-4. Detroit is a 3-point favorite at home. I'm taking Detroit because I think they have to win this game at home, as Ed said. They've got to get this win. Otherwise, I mean, they it might. You might be right, Ed. They might be done. KJ has the Lions as well. Ed, who you got?
Chad has got the Lions as well. I am taking Detroit. They're on their fast track. I think this is another Gibbs game. I mean, he's a one-man game changer. So I do like the fact that the Detroit's getting Jamison Williams more involved in the offense, but Detroit's passing game just isn't clicking. But Green Bay is just not playing good football, I don't think, right now. So I'm taking Detroit. What about you, Brett?
Man, this is a game where you really miss John Madden. You know, Green Bay, Detroit, Thanksgiving, the old turducken, you know.
Yeah.
This is notoriously we have all followed and hated the Packers our whole lives because we got a Vikings fan and two Bears fans on here. This is the type game Green Bay goes in there and wins 31-3, and you're looking at each other like, how the hell did that happen?
Right.
Give me Detroit by a field goal. I don't like it at all.
Speaking of field goal, did you see that field goal that Bates made last weekend?
Yeah.
It curved in, then it curved out, and curved back in. How the hell does that happen?
Well, that was a pretty knuckleball. I know that. You don't see those very often.
Big Mike's got Detroit. Marty is taking Green Bay. All right, Kansas City 6-5 in the must-win game for both teams. 3-point favorites at Dallas, 5-1. KJ has the Chiefs. Chad has
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. You know, I don't have faith in either one of these teams. But I feel like it's at home. Dallas has a little momentum. I'm taking the Cowboys. Ed, who you got?
I'm taking Kansas City. I just think that when the light is shining on Dallas the most, that's when they have the Stephen A moment and just completely shit the bed.
I don't see. I disagree with you at this point because I still think Dallas is in the mode of we got nothing to lose. I think you're right. If they happen to go to 7-5-1, then I could see that happening.
I just visualized Friday morning on First Take. I see Stephen A. wearing a cowboy hat with a cigar in his mouth. Just when you think it ain't gonna happen, it happens. I mean, he does. He just lives for moments like what's going to happen tomorrow.
Marty's got Dallas. There's a shock. Big Mike, who you got? Who you got, Brett?
Man, I can just envision Dallas and the fans and them hugging, confetti coming down like they just won the Super Bowl. Ending Patrick Mahomes, their dynasty. Jerry dancing up there in the booth with bourbon in his hand and headed down to the stadium, do the post-game interview like Jerry always does. How about them Cowboys?
And then right when he gets off the elevator, it's all of a sudden, what the hell happened? We lost.
He did what?
Big Mike has Dallas as well.
So Eric and Brett both went Dallas, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Poor Eric.
Next game, Chicago, 8-3 at Philadelphia, 8-3. The Black Friday game. I have, unfortunately, Philadelphia. I think I agree with Brett. It's just a bad matchup at this time. I think our offensive line has come along really well. But, I mean, I want them to win. But I don't know. We'll see. Ed, who you got?
This is a size-up game, and I just think Chicago's not ready to hang yet. So I got Philly, and so does Chad.
KJ has Philly as well. Brett, who you got?
I can't believe you're agreeing with me when I was literally the one in the chat the other day said it's a bad matchup for us. And who came at me first? Who attacked me off the top rope? It was Eric.
Well, what I'm saying
but now you're
is,
agreeing with me.
well, it's not that I disagreed with you then. I'm just saying I think you're shortchanging Chicago up front on the offensive side. I mean, we have played good pass rushers.
No, we're improving. Hopefully the 1 in 16 days from 2-3 years ago, those days are over. We can see some light at the end of the tunnel, but
make no mistake, Brett. Make no mistake. Between you, Chad, and Eric is definitely the one drinking the Kool-Aid right now.
I have said, see that. That is so.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. I'll say my falsehood, and then I'm gonna say I'm moving. What? I mean,
this is gonna turn into a 15-minute Chicago.
Philadelphia by 14.
We can go back to all of the comments that I've made, and it's facts. Marty's got Chicago. Big Mike has Chicago. Wow, boys. All right. I like where your head's at, but I don't see it. Next game, Houston 6-5 at Indianapolis 8-3. Indianapolis is a 4.5-point favorite. KJ has the Colts. Brett, who you got?
And that old boy from Alabama, D'Amico Ryan's got that defense rolling, don't he? With Will Anderson from Alabama coming around the edge. Where's Jay at? Houston goes into Indianapolis and upsets the Colts and hands them their second straight loss. Houston by 3.
Who's Chad got, Ed?
Chad's got Indy.
Who you got?
And I do too. I think Indianapolis at home is going to be able to take care of business, but it ain't going to be easy. I got mad respect for Houston's defense. That's for sure.
Yeah, Houston's defense is tough. This is a game I kind of went back and forth on, but I think in must-win scenarios, Indianapolis cannot afford to drop 2 in a row. So I'm taking the Colts. Let's see who we got up here. Marty has Indianapolis. Big Mike, who you got? Houston or Indianapolis? We'll have to say it in a little bit.
Slow on the trigger.
He's a little slow on the trigger. Usually he's right up there. Next game.
Jay fell off this week, guys. He didn't want to hear us talk about Buffalo anymore this week.
Yeah. Arizona 3-8 at Tampa Bay 6-5. Tampa Bay is a 2.5-point favorite. KJ's taking the Bucks. Who you got, Ed?
Both Chad and I are taking Tampa Bay. I mean, God, if I can see I can see Tampa dropping this if they don't have their quarterback. But
I agree.
If Baker doesn't play, it wouldn't surprise me that Arizona pulls it out. But somehow or another, I think Tampa Bay will pull it out. So I'll go with Tampa Bay.
Who you got, Brett?
Go with Tampa. It's going to be a long end of the season if Tampa loses this one.
Big Mike went with Indianapolis as well. He's a little bit behind. Marty's going with Tampa Bay. I'm reluctantly going with Tampa Bay. If Baker doesn't play, oh, man. But I think they have got to win this game. I don't think they can afford to go to 6-6.
No.
Last game. Buffalo 7-4, 3.5-point favorites at Pittsburgh, 6-5. I don't have much faith in Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Buffalo. KJ has Buffalo as well. Who you got, Brett?
Give me Buffalo, but let me throw this in. I know we're running behind. Josh Allen got sacked 8 times last week by Houston. DJ Watt and Highsmith and all them guys, they could really tee off on Josh. Watch out, Jay, for you don't want to lose your franchise quarterback in a game like this, but 8 times last week,
Yeah.
And TJ Watt's a one-man wrecking crew. You could have give me Pittsburgh by a field goal, but you might be they need to shore up that offensive line.
You're going with Pittsburgh, Brett?
Yeah, Pittsburgh by a field goal.
Ed?
I'm taking Buffalo, but it's not because I'm not impressed with him. I think Josh Allen has fallen into old habits that's getting his team in trouble again. But I think Pittsburgh is a real nothing burger. I think you're going to see them actually have a losing record for the season, which will be Tomlin's first losing record, and then what happens. So it's not going to be a good look to have Aaron Rodgers come in for a one-year wonder and lead him to his first losing season. So
yeah. Who's Chad got?
Chad has got Buffalo as well.
No, Brett's on an island there. Big Mike's got Buffalo and Tampa Bay. And Marty's got Pittsburgh.
Didn't you take Buffalo, Brett?
No, he took Pittsburgh.
I ended up taking Pittsburgh.
Oh, my God.
He kind of flipped there right at the end. That's why I had to double check just to make sure.
TJ Watt, Highsmith, and all that. That being said, I mean, who's going to play quarterback with Pittsburgh? I'll stick with my pick. It don't matter.
Hey, Brett, just for one more week before we lose to Philadelphia this week, let's just enjoy these posts that I'm making for the Bears. Maybe someday I'll be able to use them when they actually were really, really good. Let's just hope. All right. And then I can make these too, Brett. You enjoy that one too?
Abandoned ship.
After all the crap that we've taken, especially last year with the Sam Darnolds and the everything, it just makes me feel good. Even though I root for Minnesota, they're just, I mean, do you realize last week, you remember how inept the Bears were last year? Minnesota had 4 total yards in the second half last week. 4.
Well, they have felt our pain, haven't they?
Now Ed knows what it's like to be a Bears fan since
Vikings actually had more rushing yards than that, but it was all of JJ sacks that he was taking.
Yeah.
I was watching the game last week, and then when JJ kept running around, and then he finally stops on the 1-yard line, has a perfect opportunity to throw the ball away, and instead takes a sack on the 1-yard line. I turned the channel. I never watched the fourth quarter.
Here's a guy whose entire life has watched every single minute of every single Minnesota game, and he did not watch the fourth quarter.
At the same time, Detroit was playing in a barn burner. You had Kansas City and Indy playing in a barn burner. And you had this. What was the other game that was really good?
I don't know. I was at Baumhauer. I had all 4 of them popping at the same time.
Pittsburgh. So
Yeah,
you had
Chicago,
Pittsburgh. You had Detroit, New York Giants, and the KC Indy game. All were field goal games.
Yeah.
You had the Minnesota game. Which one would you?
That TV was way on the other end, and they're like, "You want the Packers and Vikings?" And I watched a couple of plays, and I'm like,
"Well,
I'm good."
Dad, did your dad watch the fourth quarter of that game?
I'm sure he did.
Oh my God!
He stopped at the office today. He was not very happy, so I'm just like, well, we won't talk about this very much.
Well, I tell you what, if our Bears draft defense heavy next year's draft, I've got a picture we've got to load up for next season, and it's a picture. We go Brian Urlacher on the sideline holding his helmet like he always did with one hand, steam coming off his head, and the caption underneath is, "I still believe in monsters."
Yeah.
When I first saw that picture back when, we had Mike Brown and Lance Briggs and all that, talk about getting chills just thinking about the old '80s Bears defense. You know,
I got news for you. If next week, Ed, I can put this picture up, I may be unbearable next week.
Oh my God.
Unbearable.
So let's close it out with this. Again, thanks to all the pages who allow us to post our show on their pages. Really appreciate it. Go to our page, give us a like and a follow. Everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving tomorrow with family. But remember, when you're talking and thinking about football family, you are talking the bottom line. See you next Wednesday.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
And that's